All right, what is up, everybody? If you don't know who I am, my name is Dylan Haugen, and I am a 5'11" now, 16-year-old dunker. Been saying I was 5'10" in the last few videos because I technically was 5'10", but I just measured myself at the doctor at 5'11" and 1/8, which is crazy. Basically, have to change my whole brand because of it. But basically, guys, today we are going to be doing a little podcast style video. If you guys do not know, I run a podcast called the Dunk Talk Podcast. So today's video will obviously be uploaded on my regular channel, the podcast channel, and then on all streaming platforms as well. But this is not what I typically do. So on my regular channel, this will kind of be edited more, just more editing, more cuts and all that. But if you guys are more into the raw, just content that I produce, make sure you go check out the podcast. We interview pro dunkers and all that. Super fun. So today we're going to be talking about how I went from a 37.5-inch vertical to a 41.5-inch vertical, officially tested at the dunk camp within just about a year. So basically, before we get into like the full 1 year journey, we're going to go back to June 2022, which was my first dunk camp ever. I had very high expectations for my vertical. I thought I was sitting around 38 inches. And I tested 36.5, touching, I believe, 10.9.5, or maybe it was 10.9. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed because I thought I had like a 38, tested a 37, and tested a 36.5. Some people probably would have been super disappointed by this, but I was just like, okay, well, this is what it is. Like, I can't do anything about it. It's not like the vertex was wrong. It's literally just what my vertical is. So that was a good starting vertical, 36.5. So between June 2022 and June 2023, I was working pretty hard, but I was not really doing the right things in the weight room. I was just kind of doing exercises here and there. I was on a couple programs that I did inconsistently. It was super hard to stay consistent with basketball and AAU and all that. But I made a lot of progress. So by the time I got to dunk camp in June 2023, my reach had increased 1.5 inches from 7'9" to 7'10.5. And I touched 11 feet, which was huge for me. But that only put me at a 37.5-inch vertical, which was a 1-inch increase from the year before. At this time, I was in AAU, like full AAU. So I was definitely not fully fresh. So I probably could have gotten 38, maybe 38.5. But an inch increase in a year while still doing basketball and barely training in the weight room. I mean, I was still doing things, but just not in the right order. Any of that was a huge progress. And also the year before, 2022, I was only doing like one-handers, maybe a couple two-handers. And in 2023, I hit multiple windmills at camp. I had a very close East Bay attempt, like back rim, and then obviously tested 37.5. So in July, once I got back from Dunk Camp 2023, this is when I realized like that I really love this and I really want to improve, because next year I saw like I'm really close to East Baying, and I was 14 at the time. So that was like insane to me. Was I 14? No, I was 15. So I was like 15 years old, almost East Bay, and I was like, I could be really good if I actually locked in and trained. So when I got back in July, I started what is now called the Minnesota Dunk Squad. It's basically a group of dunkers in Minnesota, obviously, and we get together and have sessions, and we all just feed off each other and help each other. So that was huge for me. In July, I did a lot of low rimming and experimenting with right-left, because if you watch basketball and you see right-handed guys dunking on people, they're typically jumping right-left. Some examples are John Morant, Anthony Edwards, and I wanted to kind of learn that, but that didn't last super long. Just kind of a note. In September, I had a session with Gideon. If you guys do not know who Gideon is, he's a 5'9" dunker from Minnesota. Absolutely insane. Hit hide and seek at 5'9", East Bay behind the back. Won a contest hitting it under both. Like, he's insane. So I had a session with him at this place called the National Sports Center. It was the nicest gym I had dunked at by far. Only downside of it was that I had to pay $50 an hour to rent the gym. So it ended up being around like $100 for 2 hours of gym time. And realizing that this was a super nice gym, I kind of used it as like something to aim for, right? So it was like maybe once a month I'll go to this gym and I'll pay this $100 thing, but I'm only going to do it when I have big group sessions. So I had planned with this guy named Hunter. If you guys don't know Hunter, he's a 6'1" dunker from Wisconsin. Hit under both, off the backboard between legs. Really good dunker. So I had planned to do a session with him, and then obviously the Minnesota guys. So I was like, all right, I'm going to set this date. I'm going to talk to these people, and at this time, we're going to do this session, and that's what I'm like training for, right? So I kind of set like these dates where I'm like, I'm going to train really hard for 3 weeks, and then I'll do a little mini deload, and then I'll have my big session. At this time, I'm still writing my own training. I know a little bit about training, but I didn't know a ton about training. I had done a lot of programs in the past. I had multiple coaches in the past, but I didn't really know that much. So I was doing good exercises, but didn't really know much about periodization. But by the time I had my session with Hunter, um, I was doing really good. I mean, I hit an off the wall windmill, which was my first time hitting that. I hit a what else did I hit? I hit a 360, a two hand 360. So it was probably my best jumping day ever, and I back rimmed multiple East Bays that day. That was in September. I also forgot to mention that in June, July, August, and September, like I said, I did a lot of low rimming, and some of the new dunks I hit in that time period were 360 reverse hide and seek on 8 feet, 360 Kilgannon windmill on 8 feet, which is like you throw the ball and you jump. You can't see it. It's a blind dunk. It's really hard. I hit the win off 2 on 8 feet, and then on 9 feet, I hit behind the back scorpion, hide and seek, and under both. And on 9-9, I hit a dribble windmill. So that was a pretty good list of new dunks just for like one summer there. So after my session with Hunter, we both did really well, but we also got very close to like some of our dream dunks that we both really wanted to hit. So we planned to have a session the next month in October, and it just so happened to be 2 days before my birthday. So we did it on October 21st. My birthday was October 23rd. So before that session, once we had, like the day we planned it out, I went in this, probably not this notebook, but a notebook, and I literally planned out my training from that day all the way until October 21st. And during that time, I was just like, again, I didn't really know much, but I was just like, all right, I'm going to lift heavy. I'm going to jump a couple times a week. And at this point, I was playing no basketball or very little basketball. I was playing basketball, but I wasn't like in any organized things at the time. So yeah, I did all my training and I did every single workout leading up to that day. And then that day, I was just feeling better. Like you can kind of tell like between September and October, like I became a different dunker. I don't know really what it was. I might have just matured physically a bit more. But during that session, I hit my first reverse windmill, hit my first reverse pump, my first double up, windmill, and my first between the legs dunk 2 days before I turned 16. So that was super cool for me. Hitting my first East Bay. That was a dunk that I had been going for months. And to see it go down, and it was like a good finish too, was just insane. And that was all on 9-10.5. So that was a really, really fun session. And that was just like, that showed me like, this could be me every single day because I am nowhere near what my peak vertical is. And just to kind of like feel like that for one day and it be my best day, and then realizing like this is just a start, gave me just a ton of confidence going into the rest of the year. But one thing I didn't really account for was that basketball was starting soon. And that is a killer for your bounce. But basically right after, or like it was kind of like right before the session on the 21st, I Tom and Austin Young, or Tom Barnes and Austin Young, the two guys that created Jump X, which you guys don't know, it's like a vertical jump coaching service. They reached out to me and they told me that they would love to like train with me and stuff. And so we were talking about it, finalizing whatever. And then I remember I showed them the videos. On the 21st. So I don't think we were like officially partnered at that point, but basically right after that session on the 21st, I partnered with JumpX. So they were writing all my training. But I really didn't get to do much with them until after basketball season, which I'll explain in a minute here. But yeah, late November, had basketball tryouts, made a team, and it was 5 days a week. So it was Monday through Friday. And at the start, it really killed me because obviously I hadn't been doing 5 days of basketball per week. So that was really hard on my knees. The entire season was really hard on my knees. But I was still able to dunk a little bit, but I just wasn't sure how I was going to do dunking and basketball at the same time. It didn't really seem possible. But I was still able to dunk, obviously. So in December, I got a in-game one-hander. It was pretty cool because I didn't dunk in games very often. And then in January, I got an in-game two-hander, and I started to have like occasional sessions. So my plan was basically I have practice Monday through Friday. So I was like, all right, I'll do my practices Monday through Friday. I'll go hard, and then Saturday I will do zero. I will do nothing on Saturdays. And then Sundays I can dunk for like an hour, maybe 2 hours. And I think that thinking about it now, that kind of shows like how resilient my body was. I don't know if it could handle that now, since I'm jumping higher. But at the time, I was able to do a full week of basketball practice and then come home, rest, and then dunk. So in January, I hit my second East Bay, and that was like one of the most hype moments of my life. Like the first one was definitely probably the most hype moment of my life, besides something that just happened recently. But that second East Bay, it was like I was struggling. Like after basketball started, I couldn't East Bay. I wasn't even really close to East Baying. And then I kind of finally built back up to another one, and that just felt so good. So yeah, I'm starting to have sessions again in January and February. Um, in February, I hit my third East Bay, and it was starting to feel like it could be a consistent dunk because the day that I hit it, I was just jumping insanely high. Like I think it was like my third jump of the day. I hit a windmill, like my third max effort jump of the day. I hit a windmill, which was just crazy to me. So during February is when basketball kind of started to wind down, and I was started to put more effort, um, more like energy into dunking. So during that month, I hit my 30 East Bay, obviously, like I said, and then the new dunks I hit were cuff 360 pump, double up East Bay, and double up X. Double up East Bay was a huge one for me. If you guys don't know, the way I do double ups and the way most people do double ups, it's a push off. So even though it's a push off dunk, for me, double up East Bay was always harder. I could never figure it out. I was trying to do it with one hand, so I would jump over the person, grab the ball off their head, and just transfer it with one hand. But then I realized and started practicing how to do like the two hand push motion into the East Bay. And eventually I got it, and I like punched it too. It just felt insanely good. Probably one of my best dunks to date. And yeah, so that was a really cool moment. That was my best dunk ever, and that's when I was like, wow, like this is crazy. Like I'm hitting East Bays every now and then, just East Bayed over a person, and 16. But that was just a start because I hadn't even gotten back to training yet. So in March, basketball finally ends. At this point, I'm probably sitting around 39 inches, 40 inches on my best days, just from like physically maturing and obviously still dunking, getting a little bit of lifting in here and there. So yeah, during basketball season, didn't really get to lift much. Like I said, I would occasionally do like a slow lift. I would hit upper a couple like once a week, and then every now and then, if I felt good, I would lift after dunking on Sundays just to get something in. But yeah, in March, basketball was over. I hit another East Bay in a group session, and I was finally like ready to get back to training. And I did for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. And then I went on a vacation to the Dominican Republic, which was very cool, obviously. But I didn't go to the gym once while I was in the DR. I said I was going to, but it was like, I don't know. There was just so much to do. And I was with like friends and stuff. And it was just, I'm normally the type of person where like I would not skip anything. But I think it might have been because I had like just gotten back into lifting. I just was not gonna do it. But I did dunk twice while I was in the DR, and I did hit one new dunk, which was a double up two hander. Nothing crazy, but still a new dunk on vacation on like 9/11 point something was really cool. So in March, after I got back, I had planned a session with Hunter again. So Hunter was coming back up to Minnesota, and a couple other guys from the Minnesota Dunk Squad were going to be there as well. So that again, I kind of used that as like all right, this day is going to be my big dunk session. I like planned out a bunch of dunks I wanted to hit and all that. And yeah, that day went really well. Hit my fourth or maybe fifth or sixth East Bay. Hit my first windmill off the backboard. What else? Yeah, so it was a really good session. It was a really fun session. I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted to hit like some crazier dunks, but I got really close behind the back and stuff. So it was cool, especially because I like hadn't really trained much that month because of that vacation. During that month, another cool note is that I hit a 1 foot 180 inverted scorpion. First person to ever do that on any rim height. That was like I think that was 8 feet. Yeah, 8 feet. So again, not super important, but it was fun. So then April, I'm finally training like consistently, like 6 days a week training, dunking every weekend. I was only supposed to be dunking one time a week, but I was dunking, here and there every now and then. During that month, I tried caffeine for the first time during a session, and at the start of the session, felt horrible. I was just like, "Oh, why did I do that? I definitely overdid it. Like, I'm never doing this again." And then randomly, it was like boom, like I'm here now. And it was just insane. Like I hit another East Bay. I hit three new dunks that day, which were dribble windmill, two hand windmill, and a Dwight tap. So really good day. And this is when I'm like lifting heavy too. Like this was mid training cycle. Like I'm half squatting like 300 for reps, couple times a week. I'm power cleaning like the most I've ever power clean, like 185 for three. And then later that month, I went to Winona, which is about a 2 hour drive for me. Farthest I'd went for a session besides flying. And that day was crazy. It was 910. Keep in mind 910, super flimsy rim, but that was one of the most fun sessions I've ever had. Hit a crazy East Bay, and got super close to hide and seek and under both, and a bunch of other dunks. I'd have to rewatch the session because there was just so many dunks that were done. But yeah, so April was a really good month, just training wise, and then obviously had a couple fun sessions in there. So in May, I did a lot of low rimming because June, the month after, was dunk camp, Utah, and I was not feeling ready, like hand speed wise. So I was training really, really hard in May, or I had toned it down a little bit, and I was doing different stuff. Like I was doing, I think, front squats, and I'm trying to remember. I think I switched up from like power cleans, hang cleans. I don't remember. I don't remember entirely. I'd have to check, but I was doing similar things, but just different rep ranges. But still going really hard, like still squatting 300 quite often. But yeah, that was a super productive month on lower rim. So I had one session where I hit a Nilzina, a 180 scorpion off 2 foot, which I had the PR actually for that dunk on any rim height, and then a double up scorpion, all on 9 feet. All those dunks were on 9 feet. I think someone actually beat my PR for off 2 foot 180 inverted scorpion. Some guy from another country. Crazy. I don't know what the rim height was, but yeah, that was really cool to have the PR for a dunk for a while. So yeah, that was a really good month. Also met T Dub and dunked with T Dub that month, which was insane. Obviously, dunk legend. So then June, basically as soon as June started, actually I should mention in May I was also trying to gain a ton of weight. So I got up to around 168 pounds in May at 5'10". So I wasn't like super heavy, but it was the heaviest I'd ever been. And then as soon as June hit, I was like, all right, now it's time to lose weight. And basically all I did was, I'm young, so I can basically eat whatever I want. I mean, obviously not the best idea, even being young, but I cut out one meal a day. So, obviously average person should probably eat 3 meals a day, right? I was eating 4, maybe 5 meals a day in May. And basically I just cut out one meal a day on June 1st, all the way up until camp. And that meal typically consisted of like ice cream, ramen, chips and salsa, a bunch of other crap. And just cutting that one meal out um, got me down to 160 before camp. So that was crazy. I lost 8 pounds. And it's funny because I always kind of thought like, I always just kind of was the type of person who was like, oh, like, how do you even overeat? Like, it's so easy to just not eat like too much. But then once I hit um, June and I was like trying to cut out a meal, it was hard. Like it was like 10 p.m. where I'd normally be like eating like my insane bowl of ice cream and all that. And I was like struggling. Like I was like, I want to go eat so badly, but I don't think I ate ice cream once that entire month. I just cut out that and it was great. So I was feeling better like every single week in June because I was deloading, because I was doing lower reps, shorter workouts. And I had one session. It was one of my first deload sessions. I wasn't even fully deloaded yet. So this session gave me a ton of hope for camp. I hit 2 East Bays in that session. So first time I've ever hit 2 East Bays in one session. I was going to say only time, but I hit a couple of different days. So that was the first time I ever hit 2 East Bays. And it was just a really crazy session. I was definitely jumping 40 plus that day. And then I went to California for a while. Didn't have the greatest. I actually was able to lift there, but I just didn't have a great session there because the court was outside, kind of dusty. But yeah, when I came back, I also hit a double up scorpion on 9-8. So it doesn't count, but it was cool to PR on that dunk. So yeah, in June, it was crazy. So yeah, during that month, I also hit. Let's see, my other new dunks were on 9 feet. I hit an East Bay scorpion, and on 10 feet, I hit a lefty windmill. So those were 2 new dunks I hit that month. And then my last session before dunk camp, I went to the gym, was feeling really good, and I hit an off dribble windmill like really quickly, hit an East Bay, hit a crazy reverse pump, and then I also put my elbow in the rim. That's what it was. Um, no ball, just like ran up and put my elbow in the rim. No assisted, not assisted. So that was really cool. And that was like, okay, I'm ready for camp, right? I was a little worried I overdid it that session, but that was fine. So I went to Utah, flew in on Saturday. Didn't do anything on Saturday. Didn't do anything on Sunday. Actually, no, I did jump a little bit on those days, but just like tiny sub maximal jumps, just because I was excited. And then on the first day of camp, I tested my vertical, and this is the big day. Um, Measured my reach the exact same as last year, which was kind of sad because it means I hadn't grown, but I did just grow recently, so that's exciting. But yeah, I warmed up. I wasn't feeling good. My knee pain kind of spiked a little bit, which was weird because I really hadn't been dealing with too much knee pain. Um, Gym was kind of cold. That probably had something to do with it. But yeah, I tested and I touched 11 feet like insanely easily, which was what I hit last year. So that was super cool. Hit 11.2 really easily, and then I struggled a bit for 11.4, but I got it on like my second attempt. So yeah, got 11.4, and then was really close to hitting 11.5, but did not get that unfortunately. Keep in mind this is also on no caffeine, so I did not use any caffeine before my vertical test because unfortunately at camp this year we had to test our verticals and then wait like 3 hours before we could dunk. I didn't fully follow that schedule, but yeah, I did the vert test and then I just dunked for a little bit, hit 3 East Bays, which was crazy. All on 911. Got really close to under both. Kind of hit an elbow dunk, and then I hit some other dunks too. But that was a really cool like mini session. So then again, had to wait 3 hours. Took caffeine, um, and then I actually dunked in like the dunkademic session. I unfortunately did not East Bay there. I will say it is most likely because of having to take that big break because I did East Bay 3 times earlier in the day. So that's unfortunate. But in July, after getting back from camp, I did a lot of 3x8, um, and I also low rimmed quite a bit. So that was kind of like my month of not really trying to gain anything. Like I knew that I wasn't going to increase my vertical without fatiguing myself for the next camp, which was in early August. So I was really just trying to maintain strength and just stay healthy. So I also played quite a bit of basketball in July for the school. So that obviously took a toll on the body a bit. But I was also gone a week for like a little vacation thing. And actually, was it 2 weeks? I don't remember. But yeah, I was gone, which was unfortunate, but it was fine because it gave me some time to rest and I still got to jump. So yeah, that was the month basically, just doing a bunch of 3x8, staying healthy. And then on the Friday before camp, I drove up and I jumped almost every single day before camp, just like, not a ton. But on that first day of camp, hit behind the back, hit another East Bay, hit a really good verse pump. List goes on, but I should also mention I already tested 41 and a half, so I'm not going to PR my vertical anymore in this video. But I just figured I'd go up until today because there's more stuff to talk about, obviously. But yeah, that's how I got to a 41.5 inch vertical. Tuesday dunked tiny bit on low rims. Wednesday rested. And then Thursday, I did the 9 foot contest, one going about like 70% effort because I was very sick for some reason. And then later in the day, warmed up and performed in the dunk camp dunk show pre-show. So like before the pros came out, I did that, and I hit a hide and seek, which was pretty crazy. Obviously really crazy. So yeah, youngest to hit that dunk by about 3 years. Really cool. But yeah, that was my dunk camp 2024, both camps. So I definitely did better at Wisconsin, but both camps were obviously super fun. So after that, I just got back home. I came back on Friday after camp, and then I actually went on a cruise with my family, and that gained 7 pounds on the cruise, so I was around like 167. I only jumped one time, or not one time. I jumped like 20 times while I was on the cruise in one day. Um, so yeah, I'm back now, and I'm starting to get back into training. So the last 2 days, I've actually had like my first strength sessions since August dunk camp, and I've just been staying healthy. And I'm gonna go dunk actually right now on low rims, and then this weekend have my first group session since camp on Saturday. So very exciting stuff. But yeah, that is my entire year basically in training and in dunking up until now. So this next year, I don't know what to expect. Like I want to get to like 45, obviously, but more realistically, I would say probably like 43. Um, so yeah, I just got to work. Like I got a couple more months to lift before I get back into that kind of basketball thing again, where I gotta lift like every now and then, maybe dunk. Like I'll be. I'm pretty sure my basketball this year will be every single day. So I'm not sure how that'll work with dunking, but we're gonna figure something out. Um, and yeah, so yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching this video podcast. However you watched, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to leave 5 stars on the podcast. If you're on my YouTube, make sure to check out the podcast. Link in the description. Literally top of the description. I'll have the link to the podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that. So yeah, again, seriously, thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave any questions you have in the comments, and I'll get back to as many of them as possible. But yeah, just stay tuned for this next year. I'll make another video like this literally a year from now about what I do to get from 41 and a half to whatever I get to. But yeah, this next year is going to be huge. So again, really appreciate y'all tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.